3, 2, 1. G'day.
G'day. Yep, you're in tune to conversation between myself, Rapaport, and Mr. Rhodes.
Howdy.
How's
G'day.
how's it been? How you going? Last couple of days.
I'm I'm good. I've woke up with a cough today. It's kicking my ass.
Yeah.
But feeling other than that, like it's been good. I've been um, mixing. I've mixed 2 EPs this week, so
Whoa.
they're gonna go off to mastering.
Two EPs. That's
Two
crazy.
EPs.
Alright. That's a
They
lot.
were they were pretty much like 75, 80% of the way there, so it's like it wasn't a lot of work, but it's been a lot of just running things through all the outboard and through the summon mixer and
Yeah.
making sure everything sounds sick and clean and gets hit by a bit of everything
Yeah.
and back in. But I'm really happy with how everything sounded. It's been fun though.
Well,
It's
that's
been
awesome.
boring. Like mixing sucks sometimes because you're just
Yeah.
sitting in a room by yourself.
Yeah, I don't have the patience for it. So I mean, we were chatting before about like uh, artists, the first sort of artists that you're listening to. But I thought, what about Australian artists? What was like the first Australian music artists that were sort of I don't know, that you got into when you were young, that connected with you?
Oh man. First like Australian artists I remember. Well, my first CD ever that I bought with my own pocket money was a Human Nature CD. This- I
They
now
were
have
good.
every single Human Nature CD. I love Human Nature. I've seen them like 6 times. They're fantastic. They're still really good live.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally seen them last year in Newcastle.
I've got a funny story about Human Nature, actually. So my girlfriend at the time was living with someone who was dating Toby from Human Nature. And I was
Word.
and I was like, we were just like chatting about like music. This would have been like 2003 or something. And I was just like talking about like pub gigs that I was doing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just came back from like we just did like we just played at like the Sony or like Universal Music like Christmas party." And he was just like, I was just like, "Oh my god, I feel so embarrassed just to having like a chat to him about like the gig I did for like 20 people." But he is a lovely guy. Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
he's like, yeah, man, we just got back from doing our 6 month residency at Las Vegas.
Well, that was, I
We
think,
played
just when
Uptown
they were
the other
start.
night.
Yeah, that was just before they did the Motown show. So that was when they were starting.
Wild.
They were starting the Motown show as like a comeback, which became like this mega hit. So yeah.
Yeah, it's wild how big that is.
Okay, well that's
That's
interesting.
crazy. That's
I,
so funny.
I
But yeah,
didn't.
I'd say like the first
What about hip
like
hop?
big one though. First big one,
Yeah,
for me, hip hop,
Aussie hip hop.
horror show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, horror show.
That's mad.
Horror show. And I can pinpoint the exact time as well.
Yeah,
So I was like, I would have just been 15.
yeah,
And it was like a year 10 camp at. So every year UNSW have like, it's called winter school.
yep,
And they bring in like a bunch of indigenous kids from all over. From all over to experience the uni and whatever,
yep,
to try and get you to go there.
yeah, yeah,
But in one of like the rec rooms that we had designated to us, there was like a pool table and a CD player, and in the CD player was Inside Story, just
Yeah,
a burnt copy of Inside Story.
man.
Um, and like I just remember hearing that "Don't push me, 'cause I'm close to the edge," and then Nick start rapping, and like I was like, "Who the fuck is this?
Yeah, yeah.
This is sick," and I was hooked from that point. And like I've still got that. I literally stole that CD out of that CD player
Like,
on the
I
last
deserve
day. It
this.
sat in there. It sat in there all week, and I was like, I am not leaving this CD.
Yeah, yeah.
I need this CD. I was like, fuck it. Someone, they'll get it back. So if I stole your CD 10 years ago, it was a burnt copy anyway. So you didn't pay for it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny because I I saw a horror show first when he got up at a Spit Syndicate gig, and they just brought him up
Sick.
for two songs, and yeah, it was like it was mad, and then he ended up supporting me at my album launch in 2009 or 2008. I had
Wild.
horror shows support me, and yeah, that's pretty crazy. And I remember like I think it was probably one of their first gigs. It would have been, and then it was just like
Crazy.
it went nuts. I remember Earthy was there, and I thought Earthy was there like for me. And then like the next like week, I heard he was signed, and I was like, no, he was there for horror show. But
What?
it was like that album is just incredible for them to like create such a polished, complete, like poetic, restrained. You
Yeah.
know, like it's so subtle in ways, and it's just so mature, and it's just like yeah, it's an incredible, the Grey Space, just an incredible album to be creating. Like they wrote it while they were in high school. It's like the shit I was writing in high school was just like burn it, like burn it into the ground and don't let anyone
Oh,
ever hear that again. And they're writing like, you know, like um, you know the
like
just
classics.
classics, you know,
Like
like
they're writing classics. It's
so many classic
ridiculous. Like
songs.
man, some of
It's
my first bars were dog shit. Like a lot of my first bars were dog shit, and I I will stumble across them every now and then and be like, God damn, what was I doing?
For me, I think in terms of hip hop, my hip hop, the stuff that really connected with me, my first Aussie hip hop was probably actually in high school was Meta Bass and Breath, which was that was like, you know, I'm talking like 99, 2000.
Morganics and
Morganics, Elf Transporter, and Bubba Israel. And I saw them a bunch of times, and they had a jazz guitarist as well, so it was like ticking all my boxes. But but yeah, I remember loving them, and it was only like 10 years ago I went back and I listened to a Meta Bass and Breath album, and and I realized how much it had influenced me. You know, like I forgot how much I
yeah,
knew it, and then I listened to it, and I was like, oh my god, I know every word of this song. Like I was like, you know, who can control the human brain? Who can control the human brain? I am more articulated than a satellite. Like it was just like those years. I was like so into it, and it's like it got into me without me even realizing later on. And
for sure.
then TZU were probably the first like Aussie hip hop that I really loved. Even the I was loving Hermitude, and I was loving Herd, but it was like but like that first TZU album, Position Correction, or I think the name is like that was like that was like you could just like the flow and the funk that like that both of them had um, was just
They're
amazing.
both that those. Yeah, TZU is incredible. Fun. I've got a fun Morganics story.
Yeah.
Um, I just turned 18, and there was like this little community hip hop festival back home called Crankfest, and leading up to it, there was a bunch of workshops, and I was just 18, so I was hanging out. And I was attending the workshops and learning, and I met El Fresh there for the first time. I met Morganix was there, a whole bunch of other people. But like that first, after we ended up playing the same stage with Fresh and Morganix at the festival, um, ridiculous. And I just remember picking their brains. We ended up after that little community festival at the Northern in Byron, and it was like my first time going to a gig legally as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm with El Fresh, I'm with Morganix, a couple of the homies, and it's The Herd
Yeah.
with Sky High and Fundamentals.
Crazy.
And I walk in and Thunders are on stage going off. And I'm like, what in the world is this? A few months later, like, stayed in contact with Morganix for a few years after that, but he produced a few songs for us, and we were, you know, so it's like,
Yeah, he's such a legend.
it's so wild.
He's
He's
such
such
a
a
legend.
G, like,
Yeah. He
like
was always
everything, like, he's so hip hop, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Real that was awesome seeing that when I was still young. Okay.
I've
Okay.
never met Elf though.
Oh
Still
yeah.
have never met Elf.
Oh yeah.
Ever.
Elf's
But I
rad.
know so many people that know him.
You got a
Oh,
question?
man. Like, I guess, in terms of, you know, like you were saying before, and this kind of prompted my thought process a little, about how Horror Show did your support really early on, did a support for you really early on. Like, how, like, what I've noticed is you always have someone killer on support, no matter what. For your live, for your shows, for your launches, everything. How are you? Is it like people you just really fuck with and like the music, or what's your
Yeah, I definitely.
process?
Yeah, I definitely care. I've always cared about it. And, yeah, it's like mostly, I guess, it's just like people that I really dig because it's just like okay, my friends are gonna be there, and people that like me, and it's like you want to be like, hey, how cool is this artist, and then like them. So mostly it just comes down to that, just picking artists that I really like, is that I'm a fan of myself, that I want to listen to, and and that I can just sort of dig musically, and also I guess like connection. Like there's people that I dig musically that I probably wouldn't get to support just because like it might be a bit strange, but so like sort of know having like an idea of like yeah, that's like the sort of right vibe. But I think it doesn't have to have the same sound. It just has to have the same energy. And I guess just being a fan of music, you know, and just being a fan of other artists. That's the main thing. But
Sure, you've had some
oh yeah,
go-tos.
dude, at the Lost in the Frequency single launch, I had Tasman Keith, and then I had Triple One
That's
and,
right.
and Tasman Keith, and that was like
On the same show.
yeah, and it sold out, and I was like, why are there so many people that have come to see me? Like, and it was like most of them were there because it was still before Triple One had broken. And I guess that's the other thing is like I try and like I know try and know artists like at the emerging artists, and especially like years ago I tried to I had this philosophy, I guess because I was running a label and everything, but I even say to other artists like you should know the landscape, you should know every act emerging artist in your like area, or like in your city or in your country that is like the same vibe as you. And so
for sure.
we knew about Triple One when the song, when that doozy song like went like million views from the Atari like YouTube channel, and they were hanging out at the
Oh
gigs,
yeah.
and they were hanging out at the gigs with us, and they didn't have a manager, and they were just like clocking clocking millions of views on YouTube, and at the time, like no one in Sydney hip hop was hitting them up to do gigs, I guess. So I was like, do you want to do a gig for $200? And they're like, yeah, sweet, whatever. Like they would like just probably popping out, so they said yes, and it's
That's
mad.
crazy.
And they got up on stage and jammed with me as well. So there's photos like with me playing guitar and like them like rapping, and it's like I always joke of like I could like
That's sick.
use those photos and be like, oh, I was the fifth member of Triple One. But like, man, they're so good. And like even on the very first shows that they did, it was just like this is insane. Like the blend of like pop and like heavy lyricism, and it just everything was in the equal doses, and they had such an understanding of utilizing all these like different genres to the perfect effect to just create this combination that was just like heavy and listenable and like emotional and tough at the same time. It was just like unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really like ahead of the curve on that, especially
Yeah.
here. Like,
Yeah, and I didn't know what they
yeah,
were vibing off, but they were vibing off a movement that was international. Like they were listening to.
yeah,
They didn't invent that sort of thing. It was coming off the SoundCloud stuff. But what they did, I think, was world class. And I don't think even some of the stuff they did
oh,
was like the best of that genre in the world at the time. And Tasman as
yeah,
well.
they're so far ahead.
Tasman's
Yeah,
incredible.
Taz is always just wild.
Okay,
So,
well, yeah. What I was gonna say is like, like it's pretty. I think by all accounts, it's pretty hard to create sustainable music career in Australia, being in a regional area, even regardless of genre. Um, so and you were able to actually do that, which is rare to be able to build yourself as an artist
mm,
before you moved to Sydney. And so I guess on that, like, how did you like manage to like sort of maintain like the like one part of it that I think is hard is sort of maintaining the drive and the focus when you're not sort of part of like a hip hop community, because like that's something that I always sort of when I speak to younger emerging, if they're in regional artists, it's like it's going to be really tough to just keep going, like, because if I'm in the city, I've got gigs, I've got other artists I'm seeing, that sort of motivates you. And when you're in a regional area, you don't have that. So how did you like manage to, just keep focused and driven for that sort of, I guess, sort of 10-year period or 15-year period where you were really focused on your career, but you were living in Lismore?
I think for me, it was. I came up at a time where there was like there was this scene in Lismore happening in and the Northern Rivers in general, where we were all, no matter the genre, like there was a crew of us who all played together. So just like
Yeah, right.
Wolves,
Yep,
indie rock band.
yep,
They won the Splendor comp. Um, Nocturnal Tapes. who aren't together anymore, but they got signed to Sony really
Yeah.
early on, and so there was like this circuit of like us, those guys, Tora, um,
Mm.
the band that is now Parcels. Like there
Yeah.
was this crew. There was like this scene of
It was a
young,
crew. They just weren't a hip hop crew. It was
yeah,
just a music crew. That's mad. I had no
and
idea about that.
we all played the same shows. We all played,
Yeah.
we all played the same small festivals. Like I remember one year, Parcels went on before Teddy Lewis King and like
Yeah.
they played to nobody, and then we come out and the tent was full and it was wild and it was 40 degrees in there and packed.
Yeah.
It was like cool. And then they left and went to Berlin and Paris and ended
Yeah.
up with a Daft Punk song and became one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, and I stayed in Lismore and just kept grinding. But I guess that's the difference between, hip hop and other genres. Also,
Oh
they
yeah.
just
Some
like
other genres, a lot. Yeah.
they went and chased it around the world too. So
Yeah.
like Tora as well. Um, like a lot of these guys, I still see constantly, and
Yeah.
we have a connection because we played all those shitty small shows together, and
Yeah.
like it was motivating, and we were competing against each other every time we played the same shows because we're like,
Even though it's different genre.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like we gotta try and get the crowd more hype than they did, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
gotta.
That's mad.
We're a small area that, like, we're a very vast area, so
Yeah.
diverse. It's
Mm.
literally like being like our top percent is like a modicum of what's in the city, and
Yeah.
but we hit at such a high level
Yeah.
that I think it kind of outweighs, and like the persistence, the consistency, the
Yeah.
drive. We just wanted to be better and make cool shit for our friends to
Yeah.
jump around in the paddock to.
Yeah.
And I guess for me it was just I love this shit and I want to do I'm not qualified to do much else but music and anything related to music.
Yeah.
I could probably go get a day job, like an office job that isn't related to music and be fine, but I would hate myself if I did it,
No. Yeah.
and I
For
could
sure.
never see myself doing that. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's all about I want the life I want to live, and if I have to make that happen some way, I will.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
I mean, bouncing off that as well, like, what would you've been doing this longer than I have. Like, how have you seen the scene change so much over the years? What keeps you coming back to do it? What's that like?
It's just insanity.
Feels like that
like
sometimes.
mental, just like your run of the mill mental illness.
Yeah.
Like
Hip hop
um,
mental illness.
I don't know. Like I guess there's a few aspects of it. I mean, um, I think I am like just still like I'm still so inspired by like new music, and I'm like creatively or like inspired by like making new music, and I still have that like drive of like working on songs and finding new ways to express myself, and like I mean I think I my career is sort of weird because I've taken so many detours and stuff, but I like in the way that I think that actually like my work has like actually really improved in the sort of the last 5 years, which I don't think is normally common for an artist to sort of like have a like a pretty like substantial development at like 38 years old or whatever, but I've just sort of I think I have actually developed a lot in the last 5 years, or a lot of. I changed my approach a few years ago, but I think I don't know. I just still motivated, and I love creating music, and I love performing music, and there's other bits of the industry that I don't love, but the things that I do love, I love enough to sort of put myself through the other stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I love it's like my community, I do feel like when I go to hip hop gigs or other gigs, and you see people, and you're right. Like I've been doing it so long, it's just like wow, we've known each other for a long time. But also, I don't think of myself as 42. Like it's weird. I have to be like, oh well, I'm a 42-year-old. Like I think I still like part of my thing. I do sort of still like have a bit of a Peter Pan syndrome where I do still feel like just a young dude like making music, and then have to remind myself of like, oh no, I'm quite old. But
Yeah, I feel that. I
I
feel that.
I don't know.
Going to like,
Yeah, I yeah.
I've been to so many. Like, I remember a few years ago going to like a bunch of like, um, the like trappier, more hyper poppy shows
Yeah,
around Sydney, and like definitely being like one of the oldest dudes in the room at
yeah,
28.
yeah, yeah.
And just being
Yeah, I'm
like,
sure with that
I
genre. Yeah,
don't know what this is, but I'm
yeah, yeah,
here for,
yeah,
you know, whatever this is, and it's cool to see these kids be so involved in it
yeah,
and just be so gassed about it.
yeah.
And I don't get the appeal, but the music's not for me. But
That Danny Brown album though. That
I
Danny,
love that album.
that's good. Like that converted me a bit.
I think
But yeah,
like
I think
there's
yeah,
a balance. I think there's something about it. Like I'm always inspired by seeing new people or someone who
yeah,
like I'd never heard of just absolutely do what they do and just kill it. And it's like I don't understand it, but that's fucking sick.
yeah,
They
totally,
killed
totally,
that.
yeah, totally. I think also it's like a hip hop thing that it's like you have to stop when you reach a certain age. Like other genres aren't like that. Like people just like jazz, folk, rock. Like it's like you don't just like expect people, even like sort of arty rock or like punk rock. Like it's just expected that people will just keep developing. But hip hop has always had a different vibe. But I think obviously that's changing last year in America, like the amount of 50, 60-year-old rappers, and even in Australia, I think it's changing. So, yeah, I think
Yeah, it's
I've
an
always wanted to
interesting
do it.
it's an interesting place, where you can have like I don't know, like how old's David Byrne? He's like
Yeah,
gonna be
totally.
like 70 at this point, right? He's
Yeah,
still
yeah, yeah,
touring,
yeah, yeah.
and then
And still
like
pushing boundaries.
yeah, and still doing crazy stuff like,
Yeah,
and like KRS-One's still rapping. There's who else was I listening to the other day that I was like mind blown by that is still so good. Wu Tang, like
but yeah, but yeah, you're right. Like that's the thing in rock music and progressive stuff. Like it's like not unheard of for artists just to keep pushing artistic boundaries
yeah,
until they die. Like David Bowie's like, you know,
exactly.
like
Like,
on the deathbed sort of thing, or like Dead Star. Like it's just yeah. So I think that's starting to change with hip hop, and people are getting over it being just like this is something you do when you're young, and you're drinking beer and talking about you know
s-
girls and stuff like that.
smoking spliffs in the alley and
Okay, well I'll
trying
let
to
you go.
freestyle. Sick. Thank you.
Thank you for doing the tour, and we'll see you on the next leg.
Yeah,
See you down in
yeah.
Sydney.
Everyone come to the shows. Don't
Come to the
forget about
show,
it. We're everywhere.
Sydney,
We're all over.
all over
Newcastle.
Lismore,
Brizzy.
Brisbane, Brunswick, Perth, Margaret River. See you soon.
See you on the road.